Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to June on the Range, Michael K. Vaughan's much-beloved BookTube event where we talk about Westerns in the month of June. There are all sorts of other BookTube events that I'm doing and that I plan on doing in July and August, but June on the Range has only June. So I'm trying to read a Western every night. I'm trying to put a Western on my pile of reading every night or every morning. A couple of nights ago, for the first time in quite some time here in Boston, it was actually a little warm for sleeping. Even the little sleeping that I do, it was, even at night, it was incredibly humid and still in the mid-80s Fahrenheit. So, when it was circumstances like that, I had plenty of reading time. So I'm adding a Western, dutifully for June on the Range. I can't imagine what could possibly happen that might disrupt that pattern. Can't imagine it. But so I did that last night. And last night's June on the Range was a bit of a revelation. I've been having a really good June on the Range so far. It started off a little bit on the dull side. And I had howls of protest about that in my email because the dull side was perpetrated by Wayne Overhoser. And the howls of protest in my email were from Wayne Overhoser fans saying, no, he's not a dull writer. He can be. It's possible, especially if you go in his books expecting more kapauza, but he isn't. Please give him another try. And, I know I say this about Summer of Sport and the people that are emailing me about that, or really about anything. I know I say this about anything. What a great crowd we are here on BookTube, for the most part. What a great crowd. With people emailing me, imagine emailing somebody and saying, no, I really think you should keep giving this author another try, without being condescending, without being dismissive. It's wonderful, and yet it happens regularly to me. I'm sure it happens to you too if you have your email on your videos. It's amazing. That's all. It's just amazing. And it turns out those people were right. The more chances I gave Wayne Overhoser, the more I found books of his that I really liked. I've been having a good June on the Range, and that's always wonderful. I'm having enough black holes in other June events. I don't need more of June on the Range. And last night I stumbled upon an author from Minnesota, an author who was a cowboy, so that's something, right? It's always nice if your Western writer was a cowboy. It's not going to happen anymore. And another salient feature, I don't know if I believe it, but one thing that I heard about this author is that he wrote over 1,000 books. God help us. Over 1,000 books. Over 1,000 books. How many books is that a year in a normal working lifetime? And this guy didn't have a normal working lifetime. He let's say he wrote for 30 years. Well, how many books is that a year to get 1,000 books done? He's like many of those Western authors that I've discovered in June on the Range, where you've never heard their name before. I've never heard their name before. And suddenly I realized, I scratched that name just a bit, and I realized I wrote 200 books. Oh, this guy wrote 1,000 books. His name is Lauran Paine. Lauran with an A. Lauran, Paine. And I stumbled across him. It was not a recommendation. I'm getting lots of good recommendations from people who are emailing me, including lots of people who are understanding that I might not act on all these recommendations. Just because I'm appearing on your big plasma screen TV as the hands-down sexiest person you watch on BookTube doesn't mean I'm at your command. And everybody who's been emailing me gets that, which is wonderful. This author was not mentioned by any of those people, even though he wrote 1,000 books. So I just picked a book of his on my own called Kansas Kid, with this dumb Photoshop cover. That this was not the cover of the paperback copy that I read. This cover, I don't know what. I don't know. First of all, I don't know what's happening with the light on the cover. And also, did the person who was using Photoshop to make this cover realize that they made the cowboy 15 feet tall? I don't know. But it turns out to be 2 short stories by Lauran Paine put into one book called Kansas Kid. Only one of the stories in this book is called Kansas Kid. It was by far the better of the 2 stories. The other one is about an old rancher named Joe Alvarado, whose neighbor, a big avaricious rancher who has been kind of good neighbor to Joe for a long time, has decided that he wants to push Joe off the land he's lived on for a long, long time. Dam the river, the river that goes through his property, all important. Dam it so that it doesn't go through his property anymore. Push at the boundaries, even shoot at Joe, who's an older man. And the rancher, the greedy rancher, Mitchell is aided by the marshal, the feckless town marshal, who decides that Mitchell can just pay him to bend or break the law. He can just he decides that he is in fact for sale. And one of the things that really pulled me in about that story was the agony of that man, which is extremely well done. And in the midst of this, of Joe Alvarado's troubles, a stranger comes to town, a former associate of the marshal, who will not have this injustice. And the story was, I shouldn't say pretty good, it was actually very good. It would have been a standout, except the other story in the book, Kansas Kid, is so much better. No wonder it's the title of this dumb photoshopped volume that I found. I just found the picture online. And the Kansas Kid is about a character called the Kansas Kid, who has a shootout in front of a saloon with a stranger to him. He's victorious. He kills the man, and he's put in jail for it. And a whole bunch of things develop from there. Not only is there a mystery about who that man is that the Kansas Kid killed. Who is he? Why did he draw on the Kansas Kid? Is it perhaps connected to other enemies that the kid has made? And if so, how can we know that? There's not only that, there's also another mystery, which is largely picked at by Race Dunphy, the owner of the saloon. The Kansas Kid can't do much when he's in jail. Instead, it's the saloon owner who is trying to get to the bottom of what happened. With all kinds of developments along the way, like, for instance, the alcohol content in the man who was shot. Was he drunk or wasn't he? What's going on here? What has Kansas Kid stumbled into? And is there a way to unpack it? And boy, oh boy, was that story good. I could have stood it to be a 300-page novel. And you know, I've only just found this author. I don't think I've ever read Lauran Paine before. But I loved the way he wrote. Just loved it. I say that Kansas Kid could have been a 300-page novel. I would have read it. I would have trusted him to make it one. And I wouldn't say that about many writers. I would have trusted him to make it 300 pages and to make it just as good the whole length of time. So now the question is, do I read more Lauran Paine? Because, never mind June, it would take me, the rest of the year to read, the rest of the year and more on top of that to read all this guy's books. Has anybody ever read all this guy's books? Is he, I'm gathering he's not in print anymore. Are his books even available anymore? I don't know, because before June on the Range, I really wasn't paying much attention to old Western paperbacks when I saw them at my bookshop. So I don't really know if I've seen his books before. I would not have got them. In those old pre-June on the Range days, when I got a paperback Western, it was usually an old Louis L'Amour that I already knew I liked, and maybe I got it for a really good cover. Something like that. So I don't know if I've ever touched a book by this guy, another book by this guy. But now I kind of want to read more by him. But in either case, whether I do or not, whether I can find any or not, it's another success for June on the Range. My June on the Range is going swimmingly, and we're now over a week in, so I feel like I'm on solid enough ground to ask you. I didn't want to be a jerk about it. I didn't want to be snotty and on the second day of June on the Range say, so how many books have you read? Because the rest of you have lives and children and loved ones and jobs and classes and hygiene. And I don't have any of those things. So I would be a little bit obnoxious for you to ask on the second day how many books you've read. I only have the one thing right there. Right there next to me. But now, we've been over a week in. How is your June on the Range going? You know I've been eager to know. How has it been going? Have you read anything? Most Westerns are very short. So you could have let me know. I have a decision to make tonight. I have been having really good luck in June events by letting things largely play their course. It's only Book Trek 2025 where I've been trying to chart a course, where I have a goal in mind. All the rest of it has been random chance. I kind of like the organic nature of that, especially when the organic nature starts to take a shape of its own that you didn't see coming. But I might want to read another Lauran Paine novel tonight. Anyway, if I do, I'll let you know. I'll let you know anyway. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll be back next time. Thank you, BookTube.